Thanksgiving revival. Get ready for his arrival. Long live the king, yeah. Melodies from heaven rain down on me. Rain down on me.
About 2 years ago, I went through a journey, to say the least. And it was a season of darkness. It was a season of anger. It was a season of just confusion a bit. And I had a lot of questions with God. And a lot of the questions surrounded around me not understanding exactly what had just happened. In that time period, I had lost my relationship that I was in at the time. I had lost my business. I just felt like I spent the past 3 or 4 years building something, and I watched it all fall right away. It felt like it was in an instant. I felt like it was overnight. Everything that I had worked so hard to accomplish had failed. But the most devastating part of that was I had felt that from me to God, I felt as if I was doing everything that he would have asked of me. I had felt closer than ever to him before. I felt like, God, if something like this was going to happen, you could have told me. And why in the world would you allow this to happen to me? That was definitely one of my biggest questions. And at that time, I made the decision to step down from my platforms. I had seen a lot of spiritual leaders go through this process, this valley, on platforms and spotlights, and I just respect the role so much of spiritually guiding people that I knew I did not want to go through this particular valley still serving people. Essentially, I wanted to stop my pouring and actually be poured into. And to be honest, I needed that more than ever because I just couldn't imagine pouring out to other people and giving to other people and continuing to be that light to other people because there was so much turmoil inside of me. It got to a point that I couldn't do it if I tried. And to be honest, I haven't done anything like this in such a long time. But here we are because God is always good and God knows how to redeem time and he knows how to restore you and he knows how to not just make you better than before, but he just knows how to make you into what he truly called you to be. And if that means taking away what you're holding on to, if that means doing it in his will, then so be it. And when I was going through this time period, like I said, I had a lot of questions and I have felt so many different things. I felt embarrassed. I felt shameful. The biggest emotion, though, that I felt was angry. That was definitely the biggest emotion. And over the past 2 years, God has truly answered every question. He has given me new purpose. And I look at that time period now and I see it in a whole new light. I see it as something that needed to happen. I see it as something that me personally, Taylor, like that I needed in order to continue on in the way that he would ask me to do. I was raised in a very sheltered home. So that meant that I was not exposed to a lot of things of the world. And so I kind of lived in this bubble. I lived in this beautiful bubble, by the way, of just learning God and loving God and, you know, really just seeing the beauty of what a life with God really meant and what it looked like. The only thing with that is that when I'm talking to people, when I'm praying for people, when I'm listening to them tell me the hardships and the things that they went through in life, sometimes it was hard for me to connect. It was hard for me to relate. Because like I said, when you grow up in a certain way, especially when you grow up essentially not being exposed to a lot of like worldly things, it was easy for me to not drink. It was easy for me to not smoke. I can't say that I had like a strong pull towards it. And I just feel like, when you grow up as a preacher's kid, this is completely just my own thinking. I feel like there's two different preacher's kids. There's like one that acts out and just is always in trouble. And then there's the other preacher kid who is just perfect, like spotless, polished. And I felt like I was that kid. But the thing about being that kid is it's not that you're perfect. It's not that you're polished. You just hide it better. The things that you deal with, the things that you wrestle with, they're kind of like underneath. And so I had this self-righteousness about myself. Like when I look at that time and how I felt about myself, I did feel self-righteous. I felt like, not that I was perfect. I wouldn't say that, but I felt like I was pretty much doing a lot of things right, as like how the Bible would say to live my life. I felt like that's exactly what I was doing. And so that's why when everything fell apart, I felt like betrayed by God. I felt like, what? Out of all the people, like, I feel I should not be the person that's going through this. A couple weeks ago at church, the pastor was talking about the rich young ruler. When he is speaking about the rich young ruler, I really saw myself in that story and I really connected with it. And basically the rich young ruler is asking Jesus in Matthew, he's asking him, what should I do to have eternal life? And Jesus tells him the commandments that he should follow, like ones that people can see that you're following. And so the rich young ruler says, like, I've been doing that since I was young. And when he read this scripture, I was like, that's me. Like, I feel like that. Like, God, what else should I do? Like, what else is required of me? I have done all these things. And essentially, Jesus tells him, okay, well, if you've kept all these commandments, you've done all these things, the next thing you need to do is just, sell all your possessions and follow me. And the rich young ruler couldn't do it. He was sad. Like, he walked away sad because he didn't want to give up his possessions. Not to say that I'm giving up riches, but I understood what the rich young ruler was feeling. I understood having something in your heart that nobody else can see. For his, it was greed. It was wealth, the love of money. It's his things. He loved his things. For me, just like him, it was also subtle. It was unforgiveness. It was roots of bitterness. Because I had felt so self-righteous, I felt like I'm not doing people wrong. People are doing me wrong. I don't lie. I don't do all these things. But when life happens, like life does, I would get so angry. I would feel bitter about it. And those type of things can go, if they go untended to, meaning if you don't tend to them, they grow. But they grow inside your heart. And what happens is they grow so big and grow so big until eventually it starts to come out. It comes out in your words. It comes out in your actions. And to be honest, that's where I was at in that moment. It was just like how Jesus did in that passage. I felt like God was putting a flashlight on the areas of my heart that would go unnoticed. So yeah, Taylor, you don't lie, but you also don't forgive people. Yeah, Taylor, you may not curse and you may not, go drinking. You may not go smoking, but you're very bitter. And, you look down on people if they're not living a certain way. You judge other people. So during this time, I'm really digesting this with God. I'm really going through this with God. And to be honest, it's hard work. Like, it was hard work. There will be times I'm just bursting out in tears. There will be times because I'm not understanding what's going on inside of me. And obviously I would say probably like for the first year, I was just stuck in it. Like stuck in it. And mind you, I grew up in church. I grew up with the things of God. So to me, I never really had like for example, if I ask God for something, let's say, God, I want to get into this school. I got into the school. Kid you not. So my whole life, I'm praising God because I'm seeing him work. I'm seeing him do things. And if I'm being honest, he's doing them fairly quickly. Like he's doing them very quickly. And this is the first time in my life I felt like God was not moving quickly. I felt like God was taking his time. Around like month 6, I'm like, okay, God, I am still angry. Month 7, month 8, month 9, month 10, I'm still crying out of nowhere. Like, this is getting to be a little ridiculous. So it's the first time in my life, I sound like such a brat, but this is the first time in my life there was not immediate release. There was not immediate, my superhero coming to the rescue. It was not immediate. And I literally felt like, God, I feel like you just want me to sit here. And what plan do you have in that? And everything I just told you was exactly his plan. Because the more I sat with myself, the more I didn't busy myself with this business or this relationship or the more I did not busy myself, the more things that I would really be like, dang, I am kind of angry. Like when I really sit and think about it, I'm really hurt. When I really think about it, like I'm very disappointed. And I don't want to hide it anymore. In fact, I can't hide it anymore because it's so welled up inside of me that even if you talk to me, if you spent time around me, you would see it. And not in like such a, it doesn't have to always be negative, but in a lot of times it was negative. So now I have a new friend or I have a new person in my life and they're cut off immediately. And like that's where it got to be, where I'm forgiving people before they even say sorry, to now there's so much built up inside of my heart that, oh, I don't even tell you you're cut off. You're just cut off. You're just cut off. And so the more I spent time and the more I sat with God and the more that I really just was doing this work behind the scenes, the more he began to reveal to me and the more he began to show me myself. And what I realized is that, my Instagram name is the Womanaire. And one of the biggest things I took from this time period was God was never interested in dealing with the Womanaire. He never needed me to be this person. He never needed me to be this figure, this influencer, this role. He never needed that role. And in fact, the one that he really wanted to deal with, the one that he really wanted to work on and wanted to work through this with was Taylor. And I had no other choice than to set down all those things. And when I came to knowledge of this, I was like, wow, this whole time, I want to be perfect. I want to be polished. I want to look this way. I want to behave this way. This is what the Bible says is what I want to do. And those were all good pursuits. Those were pure pursuits of mine. Meaning, if you're going to pursue anything, yes, the things of God, absolutely. But in that pursuit, in that, I lost my way in that. I lost the center. I lost the motive. I lost the source of it all. I honestly wouldn't even recognize that girl from 2 years ago. I really wouldn't. I love her and I love, my heart for it. And I love the track that my mind was on. I love it and I appreciate it. But the next thing that God did in my life, which back then felt like the worst time in my life. I told everyone, like, this is the worst year of my life. Like, I would proudly tell people, this is the worst year of my life. That's so crazy. I would literally say that. Like, this is the worst year of my life. But now I look at it, and it was the most, oh my gosh, of all the moments, of all the things that I've been through, that was the most important year of my life in God. Like with me and God's relationship, that was the most important year. It was the year that he really got to get to Taylor. It was the year where he's not dealing with the perfect polished version. He's dealing with the girl who is fearful. He's dealing with the girl who is tired of forgiving. He's dealing with the girl that's angry. He's dealing with the girl that's confused. Just between him and me, things that only he can see and things that only he can also heal and reveal. And that's exactly what he had done in this time. And to be honest, even sitting right here doing a podcast, talking on a microphone 2 years ago, I would have loved this. Oh my goodness. I would have came in this studio rocking, ready to roll, just commanding the room, controlling the room. And when I feel like I heard God tell me to do a podcast, I literally was like, God, why are you asking me now? You should have asked me this 2 years ago. Because in this time span, not that I didn't want to talk about God anymore, but I just did not have the same, I felt like I didn't have anything else to say. I felt like, look, I have said it all, and I'm content, and I'm completely fine with if God wants me to be in the back row, if he wants me to sit, I was completely fine with that. And I would even tell my friends all the time, like, I love it here. Like, it's so peaceful. I feel like me and God are really close, really close. I feel just amazing. And when I say that, like, me and God were really close, I don't feel like, oh, I'm just doing everything perfectly. No, I feel like me and God are super close because I'm messing up. I'm making mistakes. We're fixing them together. We're working through my heart. We are really getting down. And the most beautiful thing about it is I feel more flawed than ever. Who would have thought? I didn't even have to be perfect. I didn't even have to be like, I could literally just be me, and God could work with that. So I was completely fine just coasting. I was completely at peace. I was fine with my ministry just being my close friends and family, genuinely. And but there will always be like a little voice inside of me, like a very small voice, very small voice that was like, you could do more. You could get back out there again. You could do it. You could do it, but that voice was hushed very quickly because I was scared. I was scared. I'm scared. No, I am scared. I'm scared because last time we were here, you know what happened, God. You know what happened last time we were here? I'm good. Me and you could just rock this out how we've been rocking it out. But when I heard the word podcast, I literally heard the word podcast. I heard the name of this podcast, and I just wrote it down because I'm just operating. You know what, Lord? I asked you to speak. You speaking. I don't know why you speaking this, because in my honest opinion, like off the record, but on the record, I feel like our world could benefit from a little bit less microphones. I feel like we don't need another podcast. I'm on TikTok every day, and I feel like we have enough podcasts in the world. I think we're good. I think we're settled. So, and that was almost at the same point when I knew I had to do it, because I'm like, it's what I wanted to tell God no to, essentially. I wanted to tell God no about this, and I felt like that's why I need to say yes. And to really bring this home, I think it was in, because it's 2024 now, I think this was in 2023. I want to say it was around August or September of 2023. I had a dream, and it was the shortest dream I've ever had, and it was the most impactful dream I've ever had. And basically, I'm sitting on the couch with my boyfriend, and we're watching a movie. And it's in a house, I've never seen this house before, but we're watching a movie, and the doorbell rings, and I look at the door, and the door has like a screen, so I can see through the door, and I see a bag of food on the porch, like as if we ordered food. And so I get up from the couch, and I walk to the door, and I open the screen door, and as I open the door, the whole city, wherever I was underwater. So in Georgia, they have like these porches that are kind of elevated. They're usually elevated to the second floor. And usually this porch is in the back, but in this dream, it was in the front. And so basically the porch is on the second floor. So it was that type of porch. And the entire, everywhere from the porch, like no stairs, no nothing. Everywhere from the porch is just water. And I look out and there's nothing that's not under this water. And I wake up. It happened so fast that I literally, when I opened my eyes, my first thought was like, I need to go back to sleep. Where's my family? Like, that's how fast it happened. I was like, let me go back to sleep because I didn't see where my mama, like, was my mama upstairs? And then I sat there because I'm sitting there laying down and I'm like, just thinking through the dream, like, that's so bizarre. And then it, like, literally in an instant, it was like so quick and so fast. Like, so fast. God has said, I'll let you sit in your peace. I will let you sit in your peace. Because he knew that for the longest, that's what I wanted. He knew that for the longest, it was like, I will give up a calling. I would give up a platform for peace. It was nothing more that I wanted in that moment. And I feel like during that time when I had this dream, I had felt that sense of his peace. Like, I felt like his perfect peace at this time. So the dream was on point. How I was in the dream, watching the movie, chilling. But he said, I'll let you sit in that. But this is what could happen if you do. And to me, it was like, Lord. And mind you, this was last year. And then we're at the end of 2024 now. With letting you know that, yeah, that was a short dream, but that was something that I really had to digest at that time. There was not one part of me, no motive, no part of me that said, I want to put myself back out there. I want to give to people again. And I'm just saying that honestly. I did not want to. And I know it felt good and it was great when, you know, people come and tell you, I love what you said, I love what you did. But if I'm being honest, it was, at that time, it was just like, that felt good, that felt great, that felt fulfilling, but I could not feel that again, and I would be okay. I would be okay. I sat with that dream for, as you can see, a year and a half. I really sat with that dream, but I never could forget it. I never could forget it. And a part of me, when I first had the dream, was like, well, if that's the consequence, and that's such a bad way of thinking now, I'm like really sitting here, but I literally was like, if that's the consequence, okay. But my true heart of heart is that, no, I wouldn't, that's not true peace to me. For me to be living in peace, for me to be living, you know, secluded and just, you know, happy internally. And there's so many people connected to my voice, so many people connected, my family, my friends, other people that I've connected with on social media or in other arenas. Like, there's so many people, I won't say counted on or depended on, because like I have a different view of that, but my voice mattered. It mattered. When I would speak about something, when I said something, it mattered to them. And so here we are in 2024. Well, by the time you guys see this, it'll be 2025. So, but here we are, and I actually do have something to say. I actually do have more to give. But the difference is that this time, it will literally be what God has given me. It will not be it's not like God mixed with Taylor, and Taylor mixed with the world, and Taylor mixed with money, and Taylor mixed with entrepreneurship, and Taylor mixed with success, and Taylor mixed with, you know, all these different things that are beautiful concepts. Don't get me wrong. These are beautiful things, but for me personally, it just does not compare. And all the things that God did in that time period in my life prior, and the things that he did during it, those were all leading up to this moment. I truly believe all those things were pointing towards this moment. And one of the biggest things, too, of why I needed that is because right now I have an actual need for God. Much of my sin is internal. Much of it was, not that I'm perfect in any way, like, but just much of my stuff was like things that would be between me and God. So I couldn't say that I saw the need for God. I feel like, God, I'm doing what you asked me to do. I'm doing those things. But now I cannot get through a day. I cannot do anything. I can't do this podcast. I can't be successful in my relationship. I can't be a great daughter. I cannot do these things without God. Genuinely. Like, I would say that before, but I don't know that I felt it in my heart. Genuinely, right now, I genuinely feel as though, without God, this would literally not be possible. Not just because, I don't want to do it. I'm doing this because I just don't want to do it so bad. No, I want to do it. I've definitely evolved from that thought. But I know that because of the things inside of me, because of the things in my life, because that I'm human, because I am full of flaws, I have a sinful nature. Because of those things, anything that you see or anything that you receive or anything that you get would literally be because of God. Quite literally. And I just wouldn't want to do it any other way. I literally wouldn't want to do it any other way. I'm at a point in my life where I'm tired of building sandcastles. I'm tired of doing things in my own will and my own power. And to be honest, I let go and I literally surrendered everything probably like about a year and a half ago. And it was truly, God, whatever your will is, let it be done. And however you want to do it, let it be done. And Lord, just work through me and speak through me. And if you want me, if and only if you want me to open my mouth again, I'll open it. You got to say something, though, because I don't got nothing to say. So you have to speak and you have to make it happen. And when I decided that I would do this podcast, God began to really download topics. He downloaded scriptures. It was like, when I said yes, it was like a flow of constant ideas. And I look back now, like that was probably his grace, that during that time period where I am silent, he wasn't saying anything, genuinely. And that was probably like his grace. But then all of a sudden he just started like downloading and speaking. And I'm like, wow, you really want me to do this? And Lord, I will do it. I will do it. And if I'm being honest, I feel less prepared. I feel if this was 2 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I could do it. I could see it. I could feel it. Yep, let's do it. I feel like, we could do it for sure. For sure. But that's exactly why I think this is going to be better than anything that I've ever done. Because I'll be doing it with God. And it'll literally be between me and him. And I'll just be sharing and expressing all the things that I have learned and all the things that he is continuing to download. And I'm very excited for this chapter. I'm very grateful for this chapter. And I'm very expectant. To see what he does inside of me. And more importantly, to see whatever seeds can be planted from whoever is watching this, from whoever is seeing this. And I'm very happy, and I'm ready. And I know this season is going to be such a blessing. Not because of me, not because of the studio, not because of the lighting, not because of anything. It'll literally be because of that's what God wanted to do. It will literally be because that's how he saw fit. For wherever you are in your life and for wherever I am in my life, I am completely honored and humbled to even be used as a vessel, even be used as another voice out of all the voices in the world. And I'm just so grateful to be sitting in a seat and to be hosting this podcast and to be talking to all of you.